I think I always had a desire and a hope that eventually in my career I would, start a business or, go out on my own some way. Um,
Hmm.
because once you get into some level of leadership within organizations or within companies, you're always, unless you are the owner or CEO or president or kind of like that top level, you're middle management really, you're starting to have to grow and learn and figure out how to manage other people, but also how to manage up. And how do I
Yeah.
meet the needs of the business, understand the needs of the business? How do I uh, support my manager, my leaders, goals and needs and what they're trying to do, make them look good, make them successful. Um, but at the same time, you're struggling with, hey, well, what if this was the goal instead of, or I have this idea, but I'm not the one calling the shots. But I always thought like, oh, that's way later in my career, and this industry is like, I'm still very young for this industry. I'm 35 and, in millwork, like that is, I'm a baby. So I
Yeah.
never like thought, hey, at 34, I'm going to be starting a business or whatever, 33. But, I fortunately over my career have had a lot of people that have invested in me and saw potential and, what ultimately, um, was the start, I guess, was USA Millwork, um, shut down more or less. They basically sold off the business units to new owners. So those companies still exist. Just my role as an integrator at the USA level went away. And so I had a decision to go get another job, or do I take this opportunity? And my wife, my former boss, many people that I work with were like, hey, you have a lot to offer the industry. Um, this is your opportunity. And so that was motivation. At the same time, at USA Millwork, we had started building this team in Bolivia. And so, um, I had always, as I moved from company to company, most companies in this industry will outsource some amount of their drafting needs. And usually it's for two main reasons: schedule and cost. And so, one,
Mm.
cost, hey, if I can get the shop drawings done cheaply and not clog up any of my internal resources at the same time, a lot of times an owner or sales guy will sell a job and they'll say, hey, yep, we can get you shop drawings in 2 weeks. They will outsource that to one of the many companies out there that do that. Most of them are overseas, and say, hey, we'll just get CAD drawings done real fast. I know it's a fixed cost because I got a price up front, and they can turn them around
Yeah.
in a week or 2 weeks, right? So cost and schedule. But you're sacrificing quality, um, right up front generally. And a lot of times the way millwork companies go about that also is a big reason, not just because those companies are bad at what they do, because it's usually the millwork companies are basically bypassing all their internal processes just to get a document to put in front of the client. And so when I was at USA Millwork, I said, hey, we have a need to solve most of those problems, cost and schedule, but I don't want to sacrifice quality to do it. So can we create our own team to solve this problem? And so,
Mm.
that was really how we started staffing in Bolivia. Is our CEO at the time had a really good business school friend that is back in Bolivia now, and said, hey, we can hire architects and very educated, skilled people that you guys can train in millwork. And so in the beginning of 2021 was when we hired our first person. And by the end of 2022, we had, um, at the end of 2021, we had about 17 or 18 people that were just doing
Wow.
shop drawings for us. And I worked with my team to train them in our processes. So fast forward to USA Millwork, selling off the business units, and me deciding what to do next. I said, well, we've already invested and trained in these people in these skill set, and they don't have a client anymore. I don't have a job anymore. I know I can go sell to other companies the same thing we were doing at USA Millwork. That was
Mm.
really that. And then parallel to that, I said, hey, I would like to try and consult and help other millwork companies do what I was doing as an engineering manager and engineering leader in one company at a time. I think I could help many companies with what I've learned. And so I kind of started those things in parallel, and it just, naturally was the companies that were helping do shop drawings overlap very heavily with the companies that I'm helping consulting. And that was really the initial formation of Duckworks, is like, hey, this is one company that
Wow.
we can merge these two things to really help millwork companies eliminate their design and drafting bottlenecks.
Yeah. So do you think, obviously you were kind of forced into, I mean, maybe forced isn't necessarily the right word, but a series of events happened to basically push you into Duckworks.
Yep.
And do you think that would have happened without that happening? And how soon, if so, do you think it would have happened? Were you ready to kind of go out on your own at that point? Or do you think it would have been a little bit later?
I definitely, I am and was very fortunate to have opportunities and have people in my corner that were coaching me and motivating me. You know, like I said, my former boss and CEO, and also, you know, who I consider a mentor. And then I also have business partners now in this, you know, so um, people, you know, don't see them, but I'm very fortunate. One of them is a Harvard Business School grad. And so from an accounting and a finance and a business strategy standpoint, I have a lot of people that are very much smarter than me, much more experienced. So I would not say I was ready.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't ready, but I felt that, hey, if I have these people in my corner, these people are as resources, I'd be dumb not to leverage that. But there was a very fun turning point conversation I had, because I accepted a job right away and thought in
Oh,
my head, I was thinking just on my own resources, hey, you know, there's only so far I can go as an engineering manager in the millwork industry. And if you search engineering manager on any job board, you're not going to find anything really related to millwork. You're going to find software engineering manager. You're going to find a lot of things, right? So in my head, I was like, okay, how do I pivot if I need to join another industry one day? Like, I still have a lot of career ahead of me. And so I accepted a job as a COO of a small millwork company, um, which was a great company, would have been a great opportunity. It was close to home, but that was me operating out of like, hey, this is a safe decision. I'm, you know, take care of my family. But I had a conversation with one of my former bosses, and he said, look, you already have an insurance policy. You can go get a job as an engineering manager and pay your bills and support your family at any company in the US. You might have to pick up and move, but you know that you're not going to be unemployed. But you have an opportunity now to bet on yourself. And he said, don't go buy a second insurance policy, which what that meant was I was trying to say, gain experience and say, okay, this engineering thing doesn't work out. If things don't work out in this job as COO, I could go be a COO in some other industry. But he was like, hey, don't be an idiot. Like, you're smarter than you think. You have more to offer than you think. Worst case scenario, you'll go get another job if this doesn't work out, but you have people and opportunity right in front of you and people supporting you in doing this. So it definitely I wouldn't have done it on my own accord, I don't think, at that time. I'm very grateful that I did now. But yeah, I think that it was having the right people around me that were coaching me and supporting it.
man, so interesting. And, you know, there's always something in a story that can be glanced over in terms of how you get started and the people that help you go along and give you the courage to do it. So thanks for sharing that.